This morning, we are privileged to speak to the woman who inspired an African Me Too movement. After Toufah Jallow went public saying the president of the Gambia raped her, I Am Toufah started trending, giving other sexual assault survivors the courage to share their own stories. Toufah Jallow has been sharing her story ever since, including at the United Nations, The Hague, and the Gambia's Truth, Reconciliation and Reparations Commission. She's now sharing it with readers in a new book, and she joins us this morning from the Gambia. Welcome to your morning.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi, Toufah. Just before we get started, I want to let our viewers know we have a little bit of a technical delay, but we are going to stay with you for the entire interview. Congratulations on the book. It begins by tacking the word allegedly. You write in June 2015, the president of the Gambia raped me. He has never been charged, never convicted, and because of that, the world thinks I should use the word allegedly. I won't. Why is it important for you to remove the word allegedly from the rape?
Yeah, thank you for having me. That was a conscious decision because if you look around, often that word is used deliberately and sometimes very precisely to only cases of sexual and gender-based violence. And in order to revisit that and then to question the very language we use, we have to also consciously choose to not use it, when you say that victims of sexual violence allegedly say something has been done to them, and to use that only when it comes to SGBV cases, that is a conscious effort in terms of language and how we interact with each other. So in order to debunk that, to kind of revisit the language we use on violence done to women, I wanted to talk about that word and question why we use it specifically for survivors of SGBV.
You escaped to Senegal and then to Canada seeking asylum, and you didn't tell your parents what had happened or where you were going until you had left. Why did you keep it from them?
Because I had to. Their lives literally depended on it. I lived in a dictatorship where people were murdered and killed and people disappeared. It was a dictatorship of decades, right? Mm-hmm. So you can't walk into a police station. The judicial system is not on your side. And I also knew my mother. She was a strong woman who would not sit knowing that her daughter has been violated by the most powerful man in the country. And her protest will mean we would either be arrested or killed. So really, the conscious decision to not tell them was an effort to save all of our lives.
You ended up, when you came to Canada, you ended up in a shelter in the city of Toronto. What was that experience like for you?
Different. And I also didn't know what I was walking into because when I chose to come to Canada, I didn't know where I was going to. I pinpointed Toronto on a map because someone told me that it was warm and there is a huge diverse community. So I pinpointed to Toronto. I didn't know what I was walking into. But one thing I realized quickly was that immigrant stories are different, even when we are in a shelter. I talk extensively about feeling alone, living with refugees from Syria and other war-torn places, and having them explain why they are there. And I didn't know how to start my story. How do I say, hey, I'm here because the president of my country raped me? Wow. So even within that community, I had to really keep what had happened to me because it didn't fit in with the community of immigrants that I had shared the shelter with. But it was a lot, and I decided to talk about that because it was important to highlight the different types of immigrant stories and that we are not one specific type of immigrant.
And what's so powerful about that is these are stories that we may not have access to, but you share them with us. When you went public with your story, Toufah, you told it to the New York Times, and in the book, you described the moments leading up to that article being published. You were not the only person he had done this to, but you were the only person who attached your real name publicly. Why was it important for you to use your name?
Because I couldn't believe that I could not find any other names, right? When I had just left, initially, I would never intended to tell my story. I just wanted to move on and live with my story and never tell anyone. That was the initial plan. But going through therapy and trying to reconnect with myself and accept what had happened to me, I decided to look up cases of SGBV in the Gambia. And when I type in the Google search box, rape Gambia, over and over again, all I saw were United Nations numbers. There were no faces behind the stories compared to somewhere like Canada. You know, when you put in the word and you put Canada or Toronto, there are so many facilities and tools to use and also stories with human faces behind them. But for where I came from, there was no face. And then it made me wonder, oh my God, are you trying to tell me that there are no victims of sexual and gender-based violence? And that really triggered a lot in me. And I think that was my biggest inspiration for putting a face behind my accusations.
It's an incredible story, Toufah, and I'm so glad that you were on the show today and that you used the courage, the strength from your strong mother to put your face forward, your voice forward, and your story forward, too. The book is called Toufah.
Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.